Alright, what's up guys? I want to do probably not a quick little video. It's probably going to take a minute actually. But I want to do a video going over the dev Q&A that was done on Jay and I don't know, I think it's Soma, Jay and Soma's podcast. Because there's actually a lot of information in here that I think is very, very cool and some stuff I'm excited for. And also, I mean, assuming you're like me and you didn't see the podcast because you were asleep or doing whatever else you were doing and you want a TLDR, but you don't want to read it yourself because you're lazy and you just want to listen, which I respect. Here you go. So let's jump right into this. I'm not going to go over everything, so if you want to read it for yourself, I may link it down below. Probably won't. I'll probably forget. But, yes, I'm not going to go over everything because some of the stuff is irrelevant. Like, the top, it's talking about Terrence and SDF do jujitsu. I don't, I don't really care about that, honestly. But, I'll try to, like, touch on everything, even if it's, like, I don't think it's that important. So, question one, will there ever be a public-facing roadmap? They pretty much said no. They said they're not really ever going to do a roadmap for the main reason being that roadmaps are usually not accurate. Like, if they say, hey, we're going to do 10 things over these 10 months, there's no guarantee all 10 things come out at the right time. So they don't really like to set out, like, I mean, I assume it's probably like they don't want to, like, set out stuff that they say they have to do and then feel either that they're rushing themselves to do it when it's not complete or that they're going to disappoint people because people are expecting stuff to come out at that time, which has happened before, when they said, like, we're going to get the ice map in December or other, like, Druid or all that type of stuff. They've said, or I mean, when they didn't actually get it delivered because of other, like, random things in development, that type of thing. So I assume they just don't like that. That's why they're not doing it. What else? I don't think anything is. I mean, they say that they're trying to expand their dev team, and this is like mostly just like random stuff that aren't like super important for the game balance. It's like it's like cool. Like they're like talking about like success of AAA studios, like adhering to the roadmaps, like all that. And then they say like the fundamental systems, like the training tab, provide a multi-pronged challenge. The more team members we add, the better. You're saying they're getting a bigger dev team, and hopefully with a bigger dev team, they'll be able to solve some of the issues they have, and they'll be able to get things out faster. Then there's like things like currently the founders version will include a test server where we can run crazy experiments such as SSF or solo self-found things, which are pretty cool. This is something if you don't know, if you purchase the $50 version of the game, then you're supposed to have access to a test server, which isn't out yet, but will be allowed so you can like test a bunch of random things, like they're saying here, like an SSF mode, which would be really cool. You test that, and then they see if it's good enough to go to live client or not. But all right, and then they even said right now most of the tests are at least the public. We go from there eventually a much more stable environment. I assume just because there's a lot of things they don't want to have to like, because if they had to work on a test server too, that's something completely separate they'd have to work on and like worry about dealing with balance and all that stuff. But yeah. And they said we are much more satisfied with the current balance of the game, and for a while we had to focus on the majority of our resources to achieve that balance. They say a little bit later on that they're not 100% happy with the balance right now. They're just relatively okay with it. Like they don't hate where it's at, but they don't love it either. Because I did say they feel that Landmine Rogue and Ranger is too strong. Other than this, we see much more or much better data now with players engaging to higher level content, achieving advancements of player retention over the last few months. We'd like to focus more on creating new content and progression in 24, which is good. Obviously, the base content they have is good. Certain things need to be polished, yes, but the biggest thing they need to do is add new content. Obviously, balance is going to be an issue that always persists. Like, it's like balance is always going to be an issue in a game like this, and that's just something that's like it's good once you get the game to a relatively balanced state, then it's fine to move mostly away from balance. You still do balance patches, but it's not like the main thing anymore. It's just something that, you get balance, a little bit of balance every like patch or whatever. Not like giant balance patches. Uh they say talking about getting like their DDoS attacks, they're upgrading their servers. The stutter is noticeable, and we hate that it's taking so long to fix. We are building an optimization to growing our team around the Unreal Engine, so I'm assuming they're saying they're trying to fix like the lag and stuff on the servers. They said this is okay. Question two: can you give us an update on the Druid since there was an issue with the animal form point of views? They said there are two main issues why the Druid is taking longer to release than we expected. One, they have one member of the team that makes all the monsters and another guy who's focused on creating new classes. These are basically SDF's main guys. Primarily, the legal dispute is a high priority for us because if you don't know, the legal dispute is still ongoing in Korea. Yes, it was thrown out in the American courts. That's why we can play the game. However, and that's also probably why it's not on Steam because it's still going in Korea. But in Korea, there's still like the legal battle going on with Nexon over the game. Like that is not done yet. That is still very much ongoing. But they say primarily the legal dispute is a high priority for us, and we have to do everything by the books. And the right-hand man is facing a real-life interruption as he also navigates our company through the legal battle. So, uh, I assume they're saying that the guy that like one of the devs is also one of the guys doing most of their legal stuff. That's interesting. Weird. Can you at least tell us what animal forms the druid might have? Also, by the way I have this formatted is sometimes if I say things that are not on my screen, I am sorry because I'm not really looking at like what's being recorded. But for the most part, I shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, back to what I was saying. Can you at least tell us what animal forms the druid might have? SDF's version that the druid will actually turn into animals like a bear. Warlock will also have a demon form as a primary part of its kit. I assume just like think of Season of Discovery Warlock for World of Warcraft. Warlock is supposed to operate as an anti-magic class that might include dispelling buffs and eating them, growing in power. That sounds sick. We would like to start focusing on the multiple forms Druid can become. Each will have positives and negatives associated with it, such as Druid in bear form cannot fit through door frames. They are fat shaming the bear form Druid. That's gonna be funny. That's awesome. So I wonder, because I say this, I wonder if that means like if they're very much focusing on like things like that, like it's very like a restrictive terrain. I wonder if they're gonna look for like flying things you turn to like bats or that type of thing, or like death skulls or whatever. Probably not death skulls, probably bats though. The Warlock Demon form will focus more on high physical damage reduction, and each class should have a multitude of builds available to it. Subclasses. This is something I've mentioned a lot before. We would like each of these subclasses to offer limitations, such as Warlock having a plate but being limited in other aspects, kind of like how World of Warcraft, yep, they like to mention before, has 3 subclasses per class. We don't know which or how many forms a druid might take right now, but we are thinking a rat form might be able to scurry under door frames would be fun. No promises on this, making development. There are currently a lot of it. Okay, that. Imagine you're sitting there campfiring, you have a door closed, a rat scurries into the door and just turns into a bear and just fucking mauls you. That would be sick. But so okay, I'm gonna go into this a little bit more because I do mention it. But I've talked about subclasses a lot, and this comes in, I assume, with what the talent tree will be. But if you look at pretty much every character in the game, most characters have like several different playstyles, or usually like two, usually about 2 to 3 at the most. Well, I guess some have more. But and I don't mean just in weapons. I mean in their perks and skill choices. There are some that are very different. For example, I mean fighter, I think is a really good example. You have normal like plate builds with like defense mastery versus Slayer, which means you can't wear plate. And I've always assumed that this was kind of pushing, well, that they were kind of trying to push towards having like subclasses, like fighter. Like fighter has a class, and then the subclass is like knight, or a subclass of like I don't know, what's it called, like swordsman, something like that. And depending on the subclass you go into, that's more of like a specialized build for that character, which adds more variety, which would be really cool. But no, someone's how might the sorcerer or paladin be different from the current classes we have like wizard? We like to use the classic archetypes to determine what direction we want to go with these classes. The sorcerer, for instance, will be distinct because it will have limited spells compared to the wizard, but will be much more powerful. Wizard is focused on utility, and sorcerer will be damage focused, such as raining down meteors. Okay, so to start off with, just as a baseline, wizard is focused on utility. That and then and sorcerer will be damage focused. Huh. So, if you guys play the game, which I'm assuming most of you do, I don't think anyone would say wizard is not a damage focused character. Yes, they have utility. However, they have many damaging spells that do many damage. Many damage. And they're saying that wizard is the utility focused character and they're adding sorcerer which would be damage focused. I mean, they are literally saying they will be able to rain down meteors, and I'm gonna be honest with you, that sounds terrifying. The last thing I need is step in a bear trap and then look up and see the wrath of God being dropped on my head. That does not sound very entertaining. But they did say they're gonna have they have limited spell uses, so I assume it's probably like a 1 or 2 cast per spell. You have really big, like 1 or 2 really big spells, and that's all. All right. Have you thought of any other classes outside of the classics? Maybe a summoner class such as Necromancer. Before we go into the non-traditional classes, we want to polish and focus on our current state of classes such as Paladin, or slate of classes, not state, slate of classes such as Paladin. We want to make the base characters and then delve into multiclassing to give people a wide variety of choices. Part of the reason the training tab has been delayed is because we need to reach a proper level of balance with the main classes, and we are finally at a stage where the baseline is feeling good, but we need to change certain things like landmine rogues. The end goal we want to achieve is giving people the freedom to multi-class and make builds that suit their playstyles. So, like I said, this before is really, really interesting. I think this is really, really cool because the thing is, if you're able to mix and match classes together, you can make really fun, like they said, you can make really fun play styles. You can have really unique play styles. It allows you to do a lot more than you weren't previously able to, especially if you go further into it and each main class has a subclass, and you're multi-classing through subclasses. Like I said, you're knight, and then if you compare like barbarian, like knight, and the barbarian is a Viking subclass, and you're a knight Viking, or like wizard has I don't know, like what's I'm trying to think of the word, artificer, and then you're like, like a knight artificer or something. Like there could be a lot of cool things you could do with that, especially if they add like, more specialized perks for classes. But there could be all different types of things that are really, really exciting. I know this is something I've been waiting for a very long time, and I hope when they release multi-classing, it's more than just oh, pick a skill from this class or pick a perk from this class. Bam, you're multi-classing, right? I really hope it's more than that, but who knows? We'll see. I imagine this is still quite far off. Like I do not expect us to be getting this multi-classing talent tree at all soon. Maybe within the next several months, but I don't see it coming soon. I think this is still probably a ways off. What do you think about the current meta of the game? It seems very range focused right now. Will there be any changes coming in that regard to maybe focus on a more melee heavy playstyle? We are not fans with how the range meta has developed. Current time to kill for rogues and rangers feels too fast right now. Completely accurate. The problem lies a bit deeper though, because we need the power gap between item tiers to be less noticeable. We want to make changes and also state that we have started maining rangers as well as achieving demigod on all classes to understand true balance. I mean, this is cool, like that they're playing the game. This is pretty much just saying, hey, we're playing the game, right? That's pretty much what this tells me. That like just hey, we're playing the game. The problem is I don't see them ever being able to play the game enough to really experience. Because the thing is, this is something that could show very, very. This could be bad. Because the issue is, depending on what you play, like, I mean, this is going to sound biased, right? But they say we start maining Rangers, right? And if they're all playing Rangers, what are they going to feel is really OP? Fighters. And that's the problem if with anything you play. For example, like, if they say, hey, we play, like, we're maining fighters, what are you going to feel is really weak? Rangers, or other melee classes, barbarian classes like that. And it's good that they're playing the game, but the problem is playing the game isn't all that it takes to understand balance. Like if I like like if you just have anyone that plays the game a ton, they're not necessarily going to understand balance just because they play. Even if you hit demigod, doesn't mean you understand the true balance of the game. Which I mean, it's good. Like I said, it's good that they're playing the game though. However, I don't think this is like an accurate thing. Like saying you're playing the game and that you're maining a specific class to understand true balance, that's weird to me. I don't necessarily agree with that. However, so they said the problem lies a bit deeper though because we need a power gap between item tiers to be less noticeable. See, now this is something I'm not sure I necessarily agree with because the problem is like whenever you get an upgrade in gear, right? You like it should feel noticeable. If I go from a green weapon to a purple weapon or a purple weapon to a legendary weapon, I should have a noticeable difference. It should not be, oh, I just have one more roll on it. That should not be the only difference. If they want to do this, I think overall they need to lower the base like stats on weapons very heavily. So whenever I get an upgrade, it feels meaningful, but it's lower than it was before, so it's still not broken, right? Like for example, longbow. They just recently buffed longbow, so legendary longbows can roll up like 48 or 49 damage. That's clearly too high. However, when I upgrade from purple to legendary, like I said, I should feel a difference. But if you want that difference to be lower, then just lower the damage overall. So make it so a legendary longbow rolls 40, but a purple rolls like 37 or something, right? So it's still a difference. I still feel a difference, but it's not as high as it was before. Because if they just make it, because they've done this before, and I'm perfectly fine with them changing gears so the disparity's not as big. However, I think there's a limit that you should do that. Because at some point, it's like, why should I, like, the good example is, why should I try to get this really good gear if it's not even that much better? Like, why should I try to get, like, good legendary gear if it's, like, only slightly better than good blue gear, it doesn't really make sense. I understand it, though, from a perspective of a lot of people, because a lot of people are never going to be able to get all that gear. But at the same time, it's like getting gear, in my mind, is part of the skill of the game. And they mentioned later they're working on an auction house, which makes it will make it even easier to get gear. But the thing is, like, if you decrease the disparity of gear too much, then, like I said, people just don't like getting really good gear. Just doesn't feel as good. Like, it feels good to get good gear because, like, oh, like, this is an upgrade. This is like a good upgrade to my gear. I'm doing more damage. I'm tankier. I'm faster. I have more HP. That type of thing. So this is something I think could be really good. However, it could also feel really bad at the high end. All right. SDF has been going harder this wipe than ever to figure out what the design team can do to bring the state of balance for our players. Everyone has been playing new classes and discussing the stat splits this wipe, so are realizing a healthier direction for the game. Like I said, this was good. It's not good for you all to play the same for them all to play the same class. If they're all playing a bunch of different classes, that's fantastic, and that is very good. Like they should all be like if to really see balance. The thing is, from to see balance or just playing, you have to experience the game at all levels. You have to experience the game at no gear, mid gear, high gear, across every class. And obviously, that's not something that's easy to do. That's not something I could do. I could, with how much time I play the game, I could not pick every single class and experience it at low, mid, and high gear enough that I could say, oh, I could accurately tell you the complete like perfect balance and everything. I mean, I do think I understand balance fairly well just because I'm a really good player and I understand the game well. However, the thing is, but I mean that is also like I the devs cannot play the game. I cannot play the game as much as I do, right? Because for me, I play the game as much as they're going to be working on the game. They cannot put the time in that a sweaty player is going to put in. That just it's not going to work. They don't have enough time in the day to do that. But like I said, it's good that they're playing the game. Having devs that play the game is always fantastic. The current leaderboard has taken away some satisfaction from the player versus player kills, so we're going to adjust this for the next leaderboards. We like the current iteration because it focuses on adventuring, but we'd like to find a nice balance between the two, PvE and PvP, for all of our players. To this end, we are developing an arena that primarily focuses around PvP for its ranking system. We are always experimenting. One of the big ones right now is the current map rotation system. So this is like I don't know if you saw it, but I made a video earlier regarding the arenas. This is something that I am incredibly excited for, and it looks like they are pushing it in the direction I was hoping for. So the thing is, like I said, how the current Crypts works because I've actually had somebody comment like, "Oh, there should be a PvE mode." How the current Crypts works is Crypts is very PvE focused right now. Yes, you do PvP, but that's the thing they want you to. But the PvP isn't the main focus of the Crypts because all you do is PvP. You won't actually climb in ranking. You have to, loot stuff, do the boss, loot the pile, get sellables and all that, and get out to really climb the ranking, which most players don't like that are on the higher end because they think it's boring. They would prefer that if, like, they even said that they're going to adjust this for the next leaderboard for kills, giving you more points. But the really big issue is it's not that people want to be rewarded for PvPing, but it's more so that right now you are punished if you PvP and you take people's gear out because you will lose points in the higher rankings. It's a really, really unfun system. However, the thing is if they add in a arena that we can go in PvP in, and that's like a different ranking for that, it's fine because if we just want to PvP for ranking, then we can just go play the arena. If we want to do PvE or just play normal, we can go to the other thing, and we're not really going to complain about it being maybe mainly PvE leaderboards because we have our own separate PvP leaderboards, which is awesome. I think that is fantastic. And I'm just super. I'm so excited for the arena. I'm telling you. I don't know when this is coming out. I don't think they actually say a date or anything, or even like a time they're expecting. But I am super excited for the arena. We're always experimenting. One of the big ones right now is the current map rotation system. They actually don't really mention much about map rotation in this as much as I've seen, which is kind of surprising. They do mention map changes, so I'll get into in a bit, but they don't actually say much about map rotation itself. The guild hall will come first, but 100% the arena and housing system are absolutely going to be in the game. So they just confirm that it's going to happen. They just don't say when. Like I said, I don't expect it to be super soon. I know they say we're getting a really big content patch at the end of January, but I don't know, I don't know anything about like the actual time the arena is coming. I just hope it's soon. We are learning from Tarkov as well as taking the things they did well and trying to improve on the things they might not have done as well. We look at a wide variety of games to implement some of the best systems we respect these. That's literally like what I said earlier in my video. Grayson plays a ton of Tarkov arenas, so I imagine they're going to take a lot of inspiration from that for their game mode. Okay, we know the ice map will not have the circle mechanic. Have you all thought of other ways to change the maps or modes going forward? See, the thing is, this is wrong. They never. This is actually really funny. This is something that actually happens a lot with devs. The devs never actually said that it wouldn't have the circle mechanic. There was a Q&A that was done where somebody asked if they ever thought about not having a map without a circle mechanic, and the devs were like, "Oh yeah, that's like an idea we've considered before." And then somehow it became, "Oh, the ice map's not gonna have a circle," which is just completely. They even say it here. So they even said The Dark Swarm is constantly being tested internally. We have the Ice Mountain map coming, and we want to turn to the three-layer structure where it would be Ruins and then Crypts and finally Inferno. In Playtest 5, we kind of screwed up the implementation, but that will be returning as an experiment. So if you guys remember in Playtest 5, you had Ruins, then Blue Crypts, but then this is weird. This wasn't actually the three-layer structure. I don't know which way they mean it because if you played Playtest 5 in Low Roller, you started in Ruins and there were red stairs like kind of throwing crypts down. They took you down to blue crypts. Blue crypt was awful. If you remember blue crypts, it was bad. And then Inferno. However, Inferno wasn't on the first floor or on normals. Inferno was an HR, and in HR you started crypts and then moved down to Inferno, which was like I said, it was strange. So I don't really know what they mean by this. I don't know if they mean they're just gonna do that. So norms will be ruins crypts, and then HR will be crypts Inferno. So it's kind of three-layer structure, or what? Or if they mean they're just gonna actually implement it so it's ruins crypts Inferno all in one dungeon, which would be really cool. For Ice Mountain, we also want a three-layer structure. At first, it will just be one layer, and that first pass will have ice caves, ice caves, icy abyss, and the ice village will follow later. So I'm wondering if this means whenever they release the map, it'll only have one floor. Because if I do not honestly, I don't want them to release another one floor map. I really don't. I mean, I would play it because it's new. However, if they're doing this, I would really, really like for them to wait and release at least release a two-floor map because a one-floor map's just gonna feel like how Ruins does now. It's just unfinished and it's not super fun to play on. We want this first showcase of the ice caves to have a static extract and static delves. Okay, so they did say so. Just going down, and it will not have the dark swarm circle forcing PvP. Wait, oh, okay, wait, no, wait, never mind. I was wrong then. I read this wrong earlier. Oh, I'm sorry, I read this wrong. I thought they said it will have the dark swarm circle forcing PvP encounters. Okay, my bad. So yeah, so it won't have the Dark Swarm circle forcing PvP counters, but it should have enough PvP anyway. The first pass will be highly experimental and looking forward to developing under based on the community feedback. Okay, my bad. I was completely wrong. Then they are not having a zone here. So the problem with this is though, is if you have something that doesn't have a zone and you have static extracts, it's like what's stopping me from I literally just I kill everybody, I loot the entire map, take everything off the map, and then go down, right? Like I feel like you would just get way too much loot like this. Okay, can you give us an example of the monsters up here in the icy caves? We are hiring more monster designer developers, but currently we have populated that map for internal testing with ice versions of the skeletons. Typically we use monsters we have and add a variant of skins and behaviors and add new creatures over time, such as with ruins, gaining the dire wolves and wisps. The ice caves first variant will eventually have unique fun monsters, which will have ice giants, yetis, an ice troll, and ice skeletons. Okay, that's cool. I wonder if the ice trolls is gonna be the troll like Goblet the cave troll, just but like, big and frozen. What are your thoughts on changing magical damage scaling versus monster to make it stronger against monsters compared to players? See, I don't like this. STF is not a fan of changing scaling. World of Warcraft has these types of systems, and we stray away from them because we want to keep it simple while simultaneously adding affix, stat rules, complexity, such as plus undead damage. We realize there are balancing challenges, but our style adheres to simple, so we want to find a different way to address the core issue. So the problem is the thing is they literally say we realize there are balancing challenges, but our style adheres to simple, so we want to find a different way to address. Like this is literally making it so certain, like for example spells, making it so spells do bonus damage to mobs is one of like the easiest ways to fix things. Like that's something they said they want to keep it simple. This is like the simplest way you could possibly do it, right? Like, oh, magic missile does 100% damage to PvE but it only does 50% damage to players. It's just that easy. I mean, maybe their system isn't coded at all for that. However, if they're adding things like undead damage, I can't imagine it'd be too hard for them to code that. But just that alone would make things so much easier. Mm, for balancing. Will we get a private messaging system for the friends list or something similar? We've seen a lot of users interacting the friends feature and a lot of the content goes to community interaction. It feels half-baked right now. I want to make some more accessible and make better features. The gathering hall, looking for a group feature, definitely be improved, especially as we head towards the guild hall features. These things take a lot of resources and time, and we understand that people's friends aren't always online. I think this is stupid. I mean, not stupid, but I just don't care about this. It's like, just say yes or no. Like, I mean, I don't even care about the whole question, honestly. Like, this is like, I literally don't even care about this. But, I mean, it's cool, I guess, that you can message your friends if they add it. The map rotation is an indication of this because we didn't want solos to only be doing Goblin Caves all the time. We are working on these systems and we truly take the community feedback into account. What if we made the map rotation time shorter? People are currently trying to exploit the system already to try and abuse the system and get their own solo maps. So these challenges that we are thinking about. It all goes back to investing investing slash team size slash resources, and all of this will be growing this year. For instance, you will definitely be able to message your friends soon as we continue on these experiments together. We want to fine tune on things such as adding resurrection shards to the Goblin Caves, duo trio rotation, and improving the aerial quality. So like, it looks like they're saying that they're pretty much sticking with the map rotation, which I don't like, but at least you're like working on things to make things better. So right now, the community is the test bed, and we understand maybe you do not like certain things like Trio Goblin Cave, but at least it's only 30 minutes. Soon, we will adjust this map as we've already made a new larger version which has both the Cyclops and Troll bosses active. It will be a 5x5 map, and the 3-man parties will have a lot more room to gain AP. This is not the problem. No one it doesn't like playing Goblin Caves because it's hard to get AP. This is literally not the problem. People don't like Goblin Caves because the map sucks. That's the problem, and there's like no way to go hell. Like them adding a larger map that has Cyclops and Troll wouldn't make me want to play Goblins and Caves even more. I'm not gonna lie. Just let me like they say it right here. One of our conclusions of why Crypt is such a good map is because you can go down to Inferno and can kill a boss. You can get a huge loot pile and chance at artifacts. So we were thinking it would be nice to add red portals to ruins, but it seems like an easy solution. Wait, this is stupid, but that seems like an easy solution, a kind of cop out. It's literally what the players want. Like, yes, it's an easy solution, and it's such a simple fix that you should add it. We will reintroduce ruins in the 3-layer map structure, and it'll be test bed for ruins, crypts, inferno. I mean, like, this is fine too, but I don't like this. The thing is, like, this is like one of those things that sometimes the easiest solution is also the best. Like, they are making things needlessly complicated, and for what reason, right? Like, if you have a really easy solution that you know players want, take it. Just do it. It's not complicated. It's you like you're putting in way more work when you have such an easy like solution right there in front of you that you're saying is easy, but you don't want to do it because it feels like a cop out. That's so dumb. All right. Will ever be possible to trade stuff between our own characters? An account-based sharing session, something we want to work on. The priority, however, at the moment is the flea market. That's what everybody wants. We want the marketplace to be less time consuming and the quality of life stuff we see popping up we all agree with. It is lower priority while we focus on the new features, but we want all this to be developed as the team grows. I really hope they mean that the trading between our characters is the thing that's lower priority, not the flea market. The flea market, in my mind, unironically, the flea market should be higher priority than every other thing in this game. That means new maps, new classes. I want the flea market more than I want anything else in this game. The flea market alone would make every single player's life better. Just significantly. It seems like a big priority to balance all the random modifiers because currently there are already so many. Does it seem like a lot to Iron Mace? The first thing is that we admit having all these modifiers is a nightmare for balancing. We have been working very hard on balancing and we want to reduce their impact to achieve a better level of balance. At the same time, we've been working on the ranges. There's a good layer of satisfaction when you find an item that is powerful. There's a lot of randomness in the general, and this presents both good and bad things. Primarily, we like the variety. The current issue is that they're a big burden on players learn what is good for their class and build, and that makes a huge barrier for players because some of these items might never even make it out of the dungeon, which means we have a lot of trash flooding the trade posts. This is true, but I don't know if this is an issue. Then this is just I don't think this is really an issue. Like learning what's good for your class isn't that hard. I mean, this game's relatively simple. Like if you're a damage character and you see it and you get an item that has weapon damage, like, oh, that's probably pretty good. I have physical power. Oh, that's probably pretty good for me. I'm a tanky class. HP, armor rating, that's probably pretty good for me. I mean, sure, there are certain stats that are like hard for people to know they're really good. Like for example, people don't maybe not value movement speed as high, but for the most part, I think this is fine. But just say like we have a lot of trash flooding the trade posts, like this isn't really that much of an issue, I don't think. And maybe it is. I don't know. This has never felt like an issue to me. Because I mean, sure, like I see a lot of trash in the market, but I've never had like oh man, I wish this wasn't here. It's like a no, like it's an issue for me. It's weird. The system has created a lot of things to players to filter through in the current trade guild. One design a flea market that gives player agency to list their awesome items for a good price, but also not make an imbalance between the tiers of power for items. The flea market will reduce the time that players spend regearing and make quality easier items easier to obtain. This okay, so I actually want to talk about the flea market for a bit. I made a video specifically on something like this before. So there are several advantages that this will add, right? So they say they'll make quality items easier to obtain, and a lot of people are gonna like disagree, like, oh no, like it's not because I can't get steals anymore. However, think right now. Think of the items that you buy. If you go in the market, you see a really good piece of item. What do they say? Ingots, keys. Those aren't official forms of currency. Those are just those are just substitutes because items have cost so much that that's the only way you can pay. However, a flea market will automatically lower the price of stuff because I'm assuming I don't. It would be really weird if they added them as actual currency, but the flea market will be way better because if I let's say items can only sell for gold, there is a limit to how expensive you can make an item, right? Like If you put an item up for 200,000 gold, which is probably like 20, 25 keys right now, if you put an item up for 200,000 gold, no one can buy that. No one. That would require 20 gold chests filled with gold to buy that. No one will ever have that much money on their account and have that many gold chests to buy that. So that means prices are going to have to get lowered. So stuff that, is selling for 100,000 gold might go all the way down to 10,000 gold. It will be much, much less compared to what it is now. So that means casual players can you and the thing is money will still be easy to make, but casual players won't have to try to make an entire rob a bank to get completely rich to buy a single piece of gear. However, with this being said, because items will be cheaper, it does mean the rich players will have, the ability to buy way more gear. However, at some point, there's a limit to how much gear they're actually going to buy, so there's still going to be more gear on the market. Also, like I said, the biggest thing is going to be how much time it saves you selling and buying gear because you really get a piece of gear, you go in there, post it for a certain price, boom, you're done. You come back an hour later, it's sold, get your money. Or if you want to buy a piece of gear, you go in there, check for all the stats and stuff on the gear. That easy. You find the gear you want, you don't find it you want, you move on. Boom. Right now, you literally have no idea if a piece of gear you want is ever going to be posted, so you just have to sit there constantly and wait. You tab out for 5 seconds, it gets posted, sniped, gone. GG. Alright, on to the next. Are there plans to add an in-game events or random rare roaming monster spawns and maybe a golden portal? Our secret roadmap has many of these ideas in development. We don't know when we get to these really cool sort of in-game ideas, but we like the feeling that those ideas will bring. Yesterday, for instance, a brand new AI monster guy joined our element team, and we want to invest in these stages of the games, but it will have to be at our own pace. That's cool. So start live Q&A, live chat Q&A. I'm assuming this means from the chat. A long time ago, it said that the current Inferno bosses would be implemented inside the Crypts map. Is that still the plan? We originally wanted to have a boss on every floor. We haven't figured out how to do that well yet, but want to revisit the idea. We feel that Lich and Ghost King bosses are currently balanced, but the Warlord needs a bit of rebalancing. In the future, we might have even harder bosses such as the Ice Wyvern and the Ice Mountain map cycle. I think Lich and Ghost King are weak. I think they need to be buffed, and I do agree that Warlord's way too strong. And then I'm hyped for Ice Wyvern. That'll be cool. Maybe it says it's going to be even harder, so, that'd be fun. Are there plans to reduce monster cheesing for nightmare grade monsters and sub-bosses? Currently, we are focusing on developing new content, but the goal is to eventually get rid of the cheese. We see players and streamers cheesing, and we don't like that, but we would like to release the Ice Mountain map soon, so that is our primary focus. Okay, so they are going to get... I mean, this is seen. They very slowly get rid of cheese. Every patch will add, really, small things, ramps in hell for monsters to walk on, and that type of thing. Has a limited spectating, getting rid of lobby VoIP, fix some of the issues with teaming. We understand that spectating is a big part of content, and that people want to watch what happens to the person that kills them. We took away some of the resources and agency of players, and we truly hate that the community cannot spectate. Our thinking has changed, and we understand we need a solution to pre-teamers, so for us, we would be more comfortable bringing spectators back for now while we work on the other avenues. Maybe just a 30-second spectate after death, which is, I've recommended this, I think it's fantastic. This would only take us a week or two to implement while we work on something long-term. Bam. Perfect. This is perfectly fine. 30 seconds after death, fantastic. I can see them right after I die, see their HP, see their gear. That's all I need. I do not care about watching these people for the rest of the game. I don't. Maybe even if you're looking for cheaters, but, are there any Easter egg secrets that no one has found yet? They pretty much say no. This doesn't matter. Are there new artifacts coming on, such as specifically designed for wizards? There is something called the Xerxes Eye. That will be a unique crystal ball and a unique spell book called the Spellweaver, along with a unique magic staff known as Illusory. This is absolutely going to be invisible. You're going to be casting invisible spells or something, man. That's terrifying. Are there any changes coming to Bard? The Bard is extremely powerful during the buff ball meta, and so right now we think it's a place where it's an acceptable level. Even in party play, it has a pretty decent role, but the bigger issue is that solo Bard is very, very difficult. We have plans to improve the solo Bard, and right now they have to invest in so many different stats, and so after the stats level, we think costs too much to take a variety of music. That's true. Completely true. The problem is, Bard is really good at high levels of gear. It's just hard to get there, but once you get really good gear on Bard, Bard is really, really strong. It's definitely still a very good character. The problem is, it's hard to get there, and everything before that really sucks. What about the Dwarf skin? The Lizard was our first experiment, and different hitboxes was semi-successful, and so thematically we would love to add the Dwarves. It is definitely a challenge. Hopefully that'd be cool. Right now, getting level 15 is an achievement. You unlock... Wait, one second. You unlock all the perk slots, and there's something more that's supposed to come for level 15 to 20. Our original intention was a rebirth system where when you get to level 20, you were reborn and you could prestige, kind of similar to Call of Duty system. This has presented a lot of challenges for us. We realize that right now level 20 does not signify anything at the moment. I agree. Honestly, I would go so far as to say they should make it so you unlock your last skill at level 20, not 15. I think it being at level 15 is stupid and not at level 20. We thought about a system where you continue to level up past 20, which would recognize your skill across an entire season. That would be easy to get the ball rolling. We wanted to do a more challenging system that may not revolve around time played, instead focus on player skill. I mean, I think just uncapping the level would be fine. Do it how like Apex Legends or Overwatch does it. It doesn't actually mean anything, and you don't necessarily get anything from it. I mean, they get loot boxes, but who cares? But like, literally, just let me see how my level go up. It just feels cool, you know? Like, oh, look at me, I'm level 700. I'm a sweat. Awesome. That'd be cool. Is there an estimated time of arrival for this upcoming content patch? Maybe when its Ice Caves or Druids is releasing. We did the internal 5x5 Goblin Cave map. Also, if you don't know what 5x5 is, this means it's like 5 modules by 5 modules, so it's a 25 module map. It's how Crypts is, and I don't know my Ruins, but I know it's how Crypts is right now. So my Goblin Caves will be the size of Ruins, or size of Crypts. So right now, Goblin Caves is a 3x3, I think. So it's literally going to increase by 16 rooms. So Goblin Caves will become huge. So we're thinking the next content batch will arrive around the end of January. Once released, more information about the arena system so the people who PvP really well receive better recognition. This will be a real test bed for a smaller map design that also helps us refine the map modules to be more balanced for the rest of the maps. We have technical reasons why the arena system will help us fundamentally develop a variety of maps going forward. I am so excited for this. So excited. I cannot wait for the arena. And also, there's a little bit more on it, but I want to talk about this before it goes off my screen. I'm so excited. God, I can't like I honestly like completely ignoring anything I could say about this technically. Just me as a player, I am so excited for this. It's gonna be so much fun. All right, this will be an introduction to a real-time shuffling of the puzzle pieces that make up each map. Maybe each team can ban and pick the modules that make up an arena, which results in a leveraged system that will result in tighter modular play spaces for all current and future map designs. We think this investment early in the environment will lead to better balance for all the maps in the future. So I think this is kind of like a little, a little look into what the arenas will be like. So I'm assuming how it's going to be is it'll be like a random set of modules from the map, right? You have a random set of modules. You put on, let's say you put on like a 2x2 or a 3x3 or whatever, random set of modules, which probably would include PvE as well. And then you play around that. It's not just like you're putting a tiny little one module arena and it's like you fight to the death with nothing else around you, which I think is cool. It's a lot more organic, allows for a lot more, positioning plays and not just, oh, we see you, we run at you, we fight, one of us wins. I do agree that'd be really fun. Will the quest and rewards continue to be character-based for the upcoming season? Some of the quest/leaderboard rewards will be account-wide, such as the Nightmare Skeleton skin. Gold purses, however, will be per-character rewards heading into the next season. So the gold, like the big gold bags, it'll be per character you have ranked up. So rank all your characters up and you'll have a bunch of gold bags. The response to quest chapters has been better than expected. The design team will begin working on more expansive quests, and internally we are playing more and different characters to understand the struggles of the community. The quests were implemented to be difficult, but we want it to become fleshed out, and so we need some more time to scale it up properly. Some of the crazier quests were becoming fairer, adhering to a quality of life that the community has been asking for. The polish is on the way. We just want to implement the new features and bigger designs as soon as possible. I mean, so I assume they're talking about the RNG quests, like Spider Silk, Troll Belt, that type of stuff. It's stupid. No one cares. And then this is the end of it. That's the end of the. They said thank you all for playing Darker Darker. But holy God, this is a long video. But pretty much, I mean, that's everything. I'm not really gonna go back over it because I just, if you wanna hear me talk about something else, pretty much gave all my opinions on everything. I went over there. But I'm pretty excited. We did get a little bit of news on the arena, which is what I am the most excited for. And we're getting in. They said a new content patch aiming for the end of January. I assume we'll probably get smaller patches in between then. Probably like slight balance, maybe something for map rotation. There's no telling. I wouldn't even be surprised if they decided to implement the Goblin Caves map sooner than the end of January. If they're deciding to keep map rotation in, I would not be surprised at all if they decided to like implement some of these things early, just because I know a lot of players are complaining and a lot of players want it. But with that being said, yep, thank you guys for watching. Leave your opinions and stuff on this down below if you'd like to. If you're excited for Arena like I am, say it. It's going to be super hype. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.